Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Ted, hanging out with some of the colleagues today.
Nate.
Dave.
And today we got another GM 911 from DM Lord Spencer. And he has a chaotic good warlock who his patron is Demogorgon, and he's calling himself a hellknight. DM wants to know, how do you integrate something as chaotic as Demogorgon as a patron into this campaign? Is asking for story ideas, side quests, things that that can be done to make it really feel like this guy's involved.
So I guess an important thing is how did this character come into the service of Demogorgon and accept the pact? Mm-hmm. Did he even know that he was accepting the pact with Demogorgon when he did it? What are the circumstances?
Was it through an agent? Was it through direct contact in some way, shape, or form? The campaign's starting off at 5th level. They're kind of doing a spelljammer kind of thing. So they're traveling.
What do you say? Think interstellar, dark matter, and what was the last one? I'm trying to remember. Some other space thing.
I don't know, steampunk and all kinds
of cyberpunk. Yeah.
So, all kinds of stuff thrown in there. But none of that, I don't know if that's all that relevant to the actual question, which is, how do I get my Warlock's patron more involved with what's going on in the game with that character? What are the goals? What are the aims? One of the things I think of right away is when, first of all, because they're they're demons and not devils, they're chaotic creatures, and they're not necessarily as far thinking as a devil would be, mm-hmm. and they're really creatures that are going to be based more on emotion than logic. And when you add Demogorgon into it, you have a creature that actually has two personalities. Mm-hmm. So I think the funny thing is, you could actually do things where, where Demogorgon has you doing something, and then later it has you undoing the same thing. And you're and the player is I don't understand, but because the two heads maybe have different agendas.
That's I want you to bomb this research facility. And then, as you're arming the bomb, you're all right, let's get out of here. I want you to save everyone on it as well. Yeah. I just want the research facility to be destroyed.
See, I was thinking, go to this planet, sneak into this facility, get this object without anyone knowing, that it's gone, and hold on to it, and then, sessions later, you get the message. Okay,
put it back.
No, not even put it back. It just says, all right, I need you to find this item and secretly, get this into this specific location, so it's being delivered, almost without knowledge that he's sitting there holding the damn thing. So, you've gone removed from, okay, put it back. All right, well, that just seems like
this sounds like this actually sounds like any job I've ever had or any company I've ever worked for, where one side doesn't know what the other side's doing, and
I think that would be comical, especially if there's other missions that are occasionally intermingled. I think there should be some things where it's do this random act of good, and then do this horrible act of just utter evil, and see what he follows, see what he doesn't. I mean, I think the fact that it's Demogorgon, that there's multiple personalities, that you don't know what these things could possibly, do. Even though he's a demon, there could be some long-term plans, or if this person that's good happens to be there, then this other thing is going to happen tomorrow. So help him out today.
Yeah, and I think little missions inside the real mission, you get a tap kind of thing, while you're here at this on this planet, I want you to gather this flower, which is you don't know what it is, you get it described in your mind, but you're just picking up these flowers, and they're some kind of terrible poisonous thing, but because he wants it for something. So you might just be gathering an ingredient here, doing a side job there. It's while you're here on this planet, go kill the speaker of whatever, which is a religious figure, or go take this to somebody, or go whatever. It's like slowly, it's like playing like 50 games of chess. It just doesn't make any sense. And he's not actually like carrying the strategy in a sense. He's like, I'm making a move here. I'm making a move here. You know, it's not, it doesn't really, he's not playing all 50 games in his mind. He's just like, bloop, bloop. Yeah,
I make moves.
I haven't moved this board for a while. You know, it just kind of makes me, because it's like chaotic, but they're also driven towards something.
So, well, the other thing too that you can take in mind too, like if you want to, ultimately, demons, devils, they want to tempt mortals into doing things that mortals or goodly people wouldn't necessarily strive to do. So you can take baby steps towards that goal too, and use the player as an agent against their enemies that are other evil things like Orcus or Grats, and basically at first you could kind of like front end hit your service to Demogorgon with these things that you don't actually mind doing. You know, it's actually beneficial to an extent,
Right.
but then you can slowly lead them down darker and darker paths as well. And things that are maybe at odds with the party. That's the other thing. Little things that are kind of at odds with the party without making it so it has to be a direct conflict. For this one, you got to know your player and know how they're going to react, because you don't want them to do something silly like try and take on the whole party to do the thing. And one, it's not going to make for a good session. And two, you know, it'll cause hard feelings at the table, so you don't want to do it that way. Whatever you do, you want it to be subtle and basically, you know, over the story arc, over a long term. And if, like, ever this warlock actually gets fully corrupted, you know, you wouldn't want that to happen until, like, the very end of the campaign.
Right.
But which then it could be interesting and epic for everybody, even if, you know, characters die or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is my thoughts on that. Chirp, 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 chirp. Silence.
I think you spelled it out perfectly.
I didn't have anything positive or constructive to add to that. So.
If you've got the long-term goal of moving this guy from chaotic good to chaotic evil, you do as Dave says. You take baby steps. You know, pushing him slowly along the way. You put him, in agents, or you put him against agents of these other demon lords. So it's, almost like, wait a second, I'm doing good here. This doesn't make sense. I'm serving a demon lord and I'm killing demons. Okay, whatever, sure, no problem. You put them on quests that you don't fully understand, gathering flowers, moving an item, and then you do chaotic things of, okay, well, put the item back, or, just go move this rock, 10 feet to the left and leave it there. Things that don't make any sense whatsoever, but because it's chaos, because it's, Demogorgon himself, I think there's things that are interesting. And if the player ever follows up on some of these things of, well, what happened because I moved that rock? Oh, well, there was a landslide, and, because that rock wasn't there, it kind of crushed this entire building and killed 30 people, and, whatever. It's like, well, if they do the legwork and follow up on the things that they've done, you realize that they could be committing these horrible acts by doing small things.
The butterfly effect.
Indeed.
And one quick thing I want to bring up, just as a general sidebar note for warlocks and for GMs out there. Do not use the warlock powers as a way to punish or make your players do something. It kind of breaks the class, and it takes away player agency in the game and choice. So you never want to go, well, you're not listening to Demogorgon, you don't get your powers. You've been denied. You're shut off. And the way I've treated Warlock packs, for instance, is they've given you power. At the end, they get to claim your soul. And so I kind of like I like that dichotomy, because they're like, well, they're going to try and use you as an agent and get you to do things. But at the end, the power stays with you. But the end game is they cash in your soul. Now, if you want more involvement from the patron, we're talking about extremely old beings that are super intelligent, genius level, and conniving and cunning to a fault, and they can literally make you think you're doing things that aren't bad, and they really are, or they could actually have you deny them, and actually that was their plan all along. They can make you dance on their strings one way or the other, and that's how you kind of have to think. Or if you're going to motivate your player to try and do something that you don't want them to do, don't take away their class abilities because it's a dick move. Instead, threaten their loved ones, or maybe they do something to you, and all of a sudden your character is writhing on the floor in agony. And you need to do this sparingly because, personally, if you're constantly forcing a player to use their character a certain way, I wouldn't want to play that game anymore.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's funny you bring up deny this because it's what I wanted you to do anyway. It's like, I see this warlock's at the unruly, contrary teenager stage, so I'm going to say I want him to do this, so he doesn't. So, and they'll kind of know you a little better than yourself, practically, at certain points because of your relationship with them. And they've done this how many other times?
So
you're like a psychological experiment, practically, that they've seen 1,000 times before.
You could use that exact thing of, okay, well, you give him the mission, he refuses to do it. Regardless of what you had planned, change it. And now that because he says, well, I'm not doing this, well, you didn't do it, and now this other thing that you weren't expecting happens, and it's, oh my God.
The Dresden Files is like a case study in this, really, because this is what happens to Harry Dresden on a regular basis since the beginning of the series.
Now, I would say with what Ted just said, it sounds kind of jerkish, like that's kind of cheesy to do it that way, but you're not a level 21 intelligence immortal being. You can't really predict what the character is going to have their player do, but to show that in the game, you be like, basically you're metaing them.
Yeah.
Well, you're really saying, I can't practically play this patron properly, so this is the best I can do, is just simply say, the demon's making this decision, it knows what the the player will do, so bam, this is how it works out. It's always bad, regardless of what it... In certain instances, I think that'll be good. Like, oh, well, I chose not to do it. Well, I thought you were going to do it, but Demogorgon knows best, and he knew that he...
Oh, absolutely. and you want to be, you want to sparingly do this kind of stuff. Because as Dave says, if crap is happening to you all the time because you're a warlock, well, then you're probably not going to want to play a warlock anymore. And the point of the game is to have it be fun so that everybody enjoys themselves and interact with this story. So that's the important part. But you have to play the warlock part of being a warlock, and occasionally you're going to have an order or a quest or a mission, whatever you want to call it, and you either do it or you don't. And how the DM deals with that, or the patron deals with that, it's up to the DM.
Not only that, too, like there's a very solid and good chance that your patron will tailor its request to you, to your character's character, really, to their ideals and how they feel and how they think. I feel like a patron that extends the offer or the contract to a character, to a creature that they intimately already know them and have an idea, like they've chosen them, they've been watching them, the circumstance that happened that made you actually want to become a warlock, they may have actually facilitated that.
Yeah.
You think you're making all these independent decisions and choices, but really, you've been manipulated into them all along. And it goes back to what both Ted and Nate said is, you as the DM could never think that far ahead, and maybe you're just not that smart. I'm not, and you're not a mind reader, and you can't see the future. But what you do have is the ability to go, well, this guy actually knew that was going to happen all along, and it's actually unfolded exactly how he's wanted to. And then, if you're paying attention as the GM and taking notes and looking back at your sessions, you could actually at some point have the patron confront the player and say, well, you did this, and this, and explain to him why you wanted him to do those things, because hindsight is always 20/20, and in retrospect you could actually produce that information as if that's what he wanted beforehand. You know, but you know, because you don't actually have to spell it out to them before it unfolds, you know, you can make it seem like or spin it in a way that gives that feel that this is how they always foresaw it happening, and they planned it that way.
And that's always awesome when you can either improv or plan it in between. Okay, well, this is what he did last session, so this is what I'm going to do this session. You as the DM always have the power to say, okay, well, we're going to end it right here. Now, how do I deal with this? Oh, God. All right. Well, this is what I wanted to have happen, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you just go back and change it. Like, it goes back to, like, not setting anything in stone.
Right.
You just fix it as you go. And, and just don't try and plan the outcome. It just in life in general, if you're always trying to plan the outcome, you're gonna be running in the walls. You can make plans, but again, your players will muck with those plans each and every time. Just know this.
Like the first round after.
Yeah.
Go like, all right, what round will start? Oh man. Yeah.
But just know this. Then you can, in retrospect, you can examine what happened and go, oh well, then this is why Demogorgon really wanted you to do that thing. Even though he said this to you in the beginning, because he's Demogorgon and he's got extremely high intelligence.
So if you guys out there have any other comments for DM Lord Spencer of how to handle this situation, or if you want to continue the discussion on how to DM warlocks, go ahead and put it in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, subscribe, you know the deal.
You can go to our website at nerdarchy.com and check out some articles.
And while you're there, why don't you check out Nerdarchy, the forums, and hang out with us and continue the discussion even further.
So until next time, stay nerdy.